Okay. Yep. Today we are starting with the topic of why we feel hungry. This before we begin the class, I need to mention about important notes as always that Dhamma provided in this presentation is simple and not complex or profound. People must continuously study Dhamma or else it will lead to Mahatapa, Niraya or hell, because it is Mithya Ditti, not following the Buddha's teaching. If any provided content contrast with Dhamma 84,000 Dhammakantaka, please refer to Dhamma 84,000 Dhammakantaka only. What day is today? Today is 9th Sukha Pakatsa Chetamasattsa Maha Putthachayanti 2613 or June 15 Buddhist era 2567. Before Anuttara Samma Sampoti entered Parinibbana, Anuttara Samma Sampoti said to Maha Ananta that Yovo Ananta Maya Dhammo Ja Vinayo Ja Tesito Panyato Sovo Mamatayena Sattha. Translate into English that it means that Puttavachana 84,000 Dhammakantaka is Anuttara Samma Sampoti. That's why we need to Sikkaya or study the what Buddha's teaching like today. And as we are one of the four Buddha Parisa, we also have our responsibility according to the Buddha's teaching. Our responsibility as one of four Buddha Jatuparisa is the response consisting of three main responsibilities. The first one is for Buddha Parisa must well understand the Tipitaka, 84,000 Dhammakantaka. And the second one is for Buddha Parisa must be able to correctly present 84,000 Dhammakantaka. And the third one is the for Buddha Parisa must be able to correct those who condemn or misunderstand the Tipitaka, 84,000 Dhammakantaka. And these are two of the role model of Buddha Jatuparisa in our era. Let's namaskaran these two Buddha Jatuparisa. Supat Visati Arya Makha, Visati Arya Makha. Visati Arya Makha. Oh, Namaskaran. 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 Sorry, my misunderstanding. Okay. Let's begin our topic today. Why we feel hungry. First, we start with according to sign. Okay. As we already know that we start with what is hunger. According to science, that hunger can be physical or psychological or even or combination or the combination of two. Okay. The first one is for physical hunger. Physical hunger happens when you truly need to eat. The stomach is muscular organ that expand and contracts. When it stretches after you eat food and liquid, you begin to feel full, right? A hormone called leptin signals the body that you are full so you can stop eating. When your stomach is empty, it's contract or collapse, causing hunger pangs. Your blood sugar level dip and your stomach produce a hormone called ghrelin, prompting you to eat. This is physical hunger. And for psychological hunger, psychological or emotional hunger is not caused by true physical hunger or the need of nutrients. Nutrition. It happens when you have an emotional connection to or yearning for a certain food due to a habit. Stress or environmental cues. Unlike true hunger, emotional hunger triggers cravings for special foods, usually something sweet, salty, or crunchy. This is hunger, okay? So now we know, according to science, there are two types of hunger, physical hunger and psychological hunger. So why we are why you are hungry. Still, according to science, if you regularly eat or eat a healthy or hardly breakfast, only to feel nervous an hours later, that could be more behind your grumbling belly and real hunger. From not getting enough sleep to feeling overwhelmed, here are 7 reasons why you might feel constantly hungry. There are 5. There are 7 of them. First, you are not really hungry. But the second one is your meals are out of balance. And the third one is you are eating too quickly. And the fourth one is your medication are the culprit, the effects of your medication, of course. The fifth one, you're not getting enough sleep. And this also causes you to feel hungry. And the sixth one is you are actually thirsty. Okay. And the last one is you are stressed. So this is the reason why you're hungry according to science. Okay. First, today we identify the definition of what is hunger according to science, and then we explain why you're hungry according to science. There are 7 reasons why you're hungry. So according to science, they observe and conclude the reasons and cause and effects by using your 5 senses. They use their eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body to identify the hunger and hungry by using your 5 senses. So now we try to identify we try to find reason why we feel hungry. Now, according to the Buddha's teaching, first I emphasize that you start by trying to understanding hunger, and you're hungry by 5 senses. And now we are going to explain them by according to the teaching of the Buddha's teaching. Now, at this point, we will go beyond our 5 senses, and what lies beneath. We have to go back to what's Buddha's teaching. As I mentioned at the beginning of the class, that before Anuttara Samma Sambodhi entered Parinipana, Anuttara Samma Sambodhi mentioned to Maha Ananta that Yovo Ananta Maya Dhammo Ja Vinayo Ja Tesito Panyatto Sovo Mamatayena Sattha. That's why we need to start with we need to Sikkaya 84,000 Dhammakantaka, because 84,000 Dhammakantaka is Anuttara Samma Sambodhi when Anuttara Samma Sambodhi enters Parinipana. And this is the beginning of the explanation of why we're hungry according to teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambodhi. So you might be familiar with this chart. This chart show the level of the level of beginnings from our body and environment that we assume that is level 0, and then we go into details of our body, and then we go into molecules, atom, nucleus, nucleon, and quarks, which is the smallest particle we know today. However, they are much more smaller than level of quarks as science knows today. And then when we go smaller than the smallest particle science know today, which called quarks, then we at level 50 we reach the level of Opapatika Kamnet, or at this level we can see Naraka, Peta, Asuragaya, and Tevada 6 from Bhumi 16 and Arupa Brahma Bhumi 16 exist in this level, even though Arupa Brahma Bhumi doesn't have Rupa. Then level 100 that lies Chitta 121 and Cetasika 52. They stays at level 100. So what science explain? What you have just mentioned you at the beginning of the class, that science explain hungry and the reason why you feel hungry. That stays only in level 0. It's caused the knowledge that science gain, they obtained by using 5 senses, using the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, their body. So they come to the conclusion that for hunger can be categorized into two types. The first one is physical hunger, and the second one is psychological hunger, and also another one is combination of the two. And then for the reason why we are hungry, they identify into 7 reasons. And these 7 reasons and 2 types of hunger, and actually 3 types of hunger, because one is the combination of the two. They conclude it that way because their observation by using their 5 senses. Now, what is the difference here? It starts here. Science use only the 5 senses, so they can remain in level 0. Even they go to level 5, they can identify the existence of quarks, which is the smallest particle science knows today. However, even they can identify quarks, which is the smallest particle. They identify the existence of quarks by using the 5 senses, even though they have equipments to help them to identify. However, in the end, they have to use their 5 senses to identify the existence of quarks. So now we are going to explain why we feel hungry by Buddha's teaching. For the Buddha's teaching, according to the chart that we showed you before, 0 to 100. Science can reach only level 5. However, by reaching level 5, they use only tools they have, which are 5 senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. Now, to reach level 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and etc. until level 100, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, or 5 senses cannot be reached at that level because those levels explain the existence of that 5 senses, and even more delicate than 5 senses. 5 senses cannot be identified. The existence of level of the level of Nuttara Sammasambuddhi enlightenment. So now we begin to explain to you why we are hungry, why we feel hungry according to the Buddha's teaching. Now we start here. Everything starts with Chit Cetasika. Chit interact with Cetasika, cause Kamashrupa, that cause our cyclical existence in 31 Bhumi. Abhaya Bhumi 4, Manusa Bhumi 1, Deva Bhumi 6, Brahma Bhumi 16, and Arupa Brahma Bhumi 4. These are 31 Bhumi that we stay in the cycle of existence. However, with the teaching of Anuttara Sammasambuddhi, that's be available because of the enlightenment of Anuttara Sammasambuddhi. When Citta, Cetasika interact together cause Rupa, and from Rupa we can enter Nirvana to end of the cyclical existence in 31 Bhumi. If we cannot enter Nirvana according to the teaching of Anuttara Sammasambuddhi, we will go through this route, which Citta interact with Cetasika and then cause Kamashrupa, and we remain in 31 Bhumi. If we fully understand and correctly understand the teaching of Anuttara Sammasambuddhi, only then we can enter Citta, Cetasika, Rupa, and then enter Nirvana and end the cycle of existence in 31 Bhumi. And now, for today, we try to explain Dhamma that explain why we feel hungry. Okay. Now we start from here, Citta interact with Cetasika. Therefore, from chart 0 to 100, you see, we start from here at level 100, which is the smallest one. Cause everything starts from Citta and Cetasika at level 100. And then we need to know what are Citta consisting of. There are 121 Citta and 52 Cetasika. I assume that most of you has already familiar with them and be able to recite all of these. So there are Chitta 121, Cetasika 52, and Rupa 28 that cause everything that we state here. Then after that, when Chitta interact with Cetasika, they are not, when they interact together, they are designing your new bhumi, designing your body, your thought, your mind, your environment, your food that you need to eat in each bhumi. When they are designing it, they are not yet built it. They design it in a place where Chitta and Cetasika interact together, and they are designing your body, your mind, your environment, and your food before you go to stay in that bhumi. We call that place where Chitta interact with Cetasika called that place called Chavana Chitta. And not all of Chitta 121 stays in Chavana Chitta. Only some of them. In this case, there are Akusala Chitta 12 that stays in Chavana Chitta, and one of Ahetupapriya Chitta, which called Hasitupata Chitta, stays in Chavana Chitta. And Kama Vajra Mahakusala Chitta 8, Kama Vajra Mahagriya Chitta 8, Rupa Vajra Mahakusala Chitta 5, Rupa Vajra Mahagriya Chitta 5, Arupa Vajra Mahakusala Chitta 4, and Arupa Vajra Mahagriya Chitta 4, and also Lokudra Chitta 40 that consists of Lokudra Makha Chitta 20 and Lokudra Phala Chitta 20. These are Chitta that stays in Chavana Chitta, or design unit, that they are preparing your body, your mind, your environment, and your food that you need when you are going to born in each bhumi. And I try to emphasize that at this stage, they are interact together. Chitta interact with Cetasika. However, you are not yet go to born in that bhumi. They are preparing. So comparing to the construction, this might compare as designing stage. They are preparing the blueprint, and they are not yet sent it to contractor to build it for you, but this is in design unit. Once, in case you want to change anything about the design, you need to change it here. Otherwise, once the blueprint is completed and then they send a contractor, then nothing changed at that stage. They when the blueprint is complete, they send contractor, and contractor will build as what mentioned, as what was said, the blueprint. And contractor, I compare it as a contractor. There are several Chitta that work as a contractor. They receive the information from Chitta in Chavana Chitta, and then they build accordingly. Okay, next one. For Chitta that stays in Chavana Chitta, for not all of them that cause Kamma, before they send you to each bhumi, those Chitta that I have just mentioned, those are all of Chitta that stays in Chavana Chitta or design unit. But when you are going to born in each bhumi, you need Kamma Chitta to cause your body to create your body, your mind, your environment, and your food. And not all of Chitta in Chavana Chitta perform that function. Only smaller than the group of Chavana Chitta. Only some of Chitta that stays in Chavana Chitta that perform that categorized as Kamma Chitta. There are only 29 Chitta in Chavana Chitta that categorized as Kamma Chitta, or Chitta that cause Kamma, or your body, your mind, your environment, and your food in that bhumi. For these Kamma Chitta 29, we categorize it two main groups. The first one is Chavana Chitta, and another one is Appana Chavana Chitta. Only 12 out of 29, only 20 out of 29 that stays in Chavana Chitta. There are Akusala Chitta 12 and Kama Vajra Mahakusala Chitta 8. These 20 are Kamma Chitta. 20 stays in Kam Shawana Chitta. However, the rest 9 stays in Apana Shawana Chitta. And those 9 are Rupa Vajra Mahakusala Chitta 5 and Arupa Vajra Mahakusala Chitta 4. Altogether 29 Kamma Chitta. These are Chitta that stays in Shawana Chitta that are causing Kamma or cause your body, your mind, your environment, and your food in Bhumi that you are going to born. In this case, I emphasize that it's still in designing stage. They are staying in Shawana Chitta, not yet sent out to build it for you. So in case you want to change anything, change here during the interaction within Shawana Chitta. However, as I mentioned that in case you want to change anything, you need to change it here. But actually you cannot change it yourself. If we ourselves, we cannot change anything better than Abhaya Bhumi 4. If we do them by ourselves without Sikkaya or without study the Buddha's teaching, we end up only in Abhaya Bhumi 4, in Naraka, Peta, Asurakaya, and Niraya. We stays in here. We cannot create our body as human or Manusa, Teva Bhumi 6, Brahma Bhumi 16, and Arupa Brahma Bhumi 4. We cannot create those body in those Bhumi. We cannot create Kam in those Bhumi, but by ourselves we can only create Abhaya Bhumi 4, Naraka, Peta, Asurakaya, and Tirashana. Only these 4 only. So next, then from here you can see that for, as I mentioned, we stays in Shona Chitta. Kama Chitta, only 29 of Chitta that stays in Shona Chitta that creates Kamma. And once we call Kamma, we refer to Kamma Sharupa 18. And whenever Kamma Sharupa 18 exists, there are a Kamma Sharupa 10 happens. A Kamma Sharupa 10, you might say that as you might call it as a side effects that they cause a Kamma Sharupa 10 happen because of Kamma Sharupa 18 happen. Whenever Kamma Sharupa 18 exists, there are a Kamma Sharupa 10 because altogether Rupa they need to be altogether 28. So when Kamma Sharupa 18, and another 10 is a Kamma Sharupa. And a Kamma Sharupa created from the past and to be used in the present, different from Kamma Sharupa 18. Kamma Sharupa 18, they create from the past and to be the foundation for a Kamma Sharupa to interact with them. Okay. And as I mentioned in many classes, that the Kamma Sharupa 18 consisting of Pathavi Mahaputrupa 1, Tesho Apo Mahaputrupa 1, Tesho Mahaputrupa 1, Vayo Mahaputrupa 1, Rupa Visayarupa 1, Kanta Visayarupa 1, Rasa Visayarupa 1, Ahara Rupa 1, Parisheta Rupa 1, Pasatrupa 5, Power Rupa 2, Hatya Rupa 1, and Jivit Rupa 1. These are Kamma Sharupa 18. And when you able to recite Rupa 28, then you know immediately that the rest 10 are Sattha Visaya Rupa 1, Vinyati Rupa 2, Vikara Rupa 3, and Lakkhana Rupa 4. These 10 are Kamma Sharupa 10. Okay. And then from Kamma Sharupa 18 and Kamma Sharupa 10. Kamma Sharupa 18 divided into 2 main groups. The first one is artificial Kamma Sharupa or Anekanta. And another group is genuine Kamma Sharupa or Ekanta. Once they divide into main groups within Kamma Sharupa, the first one is artificial Kamma Sharupa 9 or Anekanta 9. They work with some part of a Kamma Sharupa 10. Only 6 out of a Kamma Sharupa 10 that works with the artificial Kamma Sharupa 9 or Anekanta. Then they cause Chitta Shupa, Utu Shupa, Ahara Shupa. Chitta Shupa 15, Utu Shupa 13, Ahara Shupa 12. As you see from the chart that artificial Kama Shupa or Atnekanta 9, they act as a constant. These 9 rupa are constant. And then the variables that interact with them are Kamashupa. For Chitta Shupa 13, Kamashupa 9 and 6 of Kamashupa interact with them. With Sattha Visyarupa 1, Vinyatirupa 2, Vikarupa 3. Combination of 9 and 6, they are Chitta Shupa 50. And the same goes with Putu Shupa 13. Start from Anekanta or artificial Kamashupa 9 and combined with Sattha Visyarupa 1 and Vikarupa 3, altogether Utushrupa 13. And the last one is Ahalarupa 12. They starts with artificial Kamashupa or Anekanta with Kamashupa 3, which are Vikalarupa 3. Altogether, Ahararupa 12. And this is how we get this one. Let me go back. How we get Rupa Samudhatthana, that consisting of Kamashupa 18, Chitta Shupa 15, Utu Shupa 13, and Ahara Shupa 12. Or in short, for the beginner, for Kamashupa 18, you picture them as your body. Chitta Shupa 15, you can picture them as your mind, and Utu Shupa 13, you picture them as your environment, and Ahara Shupa 12, you picture them as a food that you need to eat in every bhumi that you're born. For the beginners to picturize them, when you're born as a human, you have food for human and a place to stay as a human and a mind of a human, right? And in case you have fish, you have your body as a fish, you have your food as fish, and your place to live, you live in water, right? Fish, and you have mind as fish in that case. However, these four called Rupa Samudhatthana, they are the same, but the result is a bit different. Your body as human, you have your mind like human, you have your environment as a human, place to stay as a human, and you have your food as human. If you're born as an animal, I pick animal as an example because you can see them. You can picture them quite easy. In case I pick other bhumi as an example, it might be quite difficult for the beginners to picturize them. So in this case, I pick fish. In that case, your body or Kamashupa will be as fish, and then your mind will be as a fish, and then your environment, you live in an ocean, either ocean in salty water, in seawater, or in fresh water, it depends, right? In that case, Udushrupa 13 is different according to the type of your Kamashupa or the type of fish, and then food there quite varies, depends on the type of fish, right? Some fish eat vegetable as food, and then some fish eat other fish or eat other animals as their food. That's a different kind of food or Ahara Sharupa 12. As for as I emphasize here, the things that I've just mentioned is for the beginners to be able to picturize them. However, when we continuously seek Dhamma, there are the meanings of Kamashupa, Chitta Shupa, Utu Shupa, Ahara Shupa that are more elaborate and more complex than what I have just mentioned. But what I've just mentioned is the first step for the beginner to be able to picturize them. In the same time, you need to recite what Kamashupa 18 consisting of, Chitta Shupa 15 consisting of, Utu Shupa 13 consisting of, and Ahara Shupa 12 as is consisting of, and then later on, I'll explain, or other Dhammacharya will explain into details of the teaching of Gautama Buddha into more details. What Kama Shupa 18, Chitta Shupa 15, Utu Shupa 13, Ahara Shupa 12. Because of each Dhamma that mentioned by Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi, from that Dhamma, every Dhamma or every word that come out of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi will help the listener or Savok Buddha as ours reach Nirvana. But the path from what Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi said to Nirvana, that we need to Sikkaya or needs to understand. What the path, what the connection of each Dhamma that leads from that word into Nirvana, that we need Sikkaya. Okay, so what I mentioned here is for beginners and not stop here. We only at the beginning. We are not yet go anywhere. We are at the beginning, and then at the beginning, we try to explain you and try to help you picturize the first picture that you need to have in your mind, and then later on, these picture will be changed. So not stick with them, but they are just for the beginners. Next one. Then, as I mentioned, that once we designed it, they are in Chona Chitta, and Charisika. They perform together. They're designing, they creating blueprint, and then they are preparing the blueprint and sending it to contractor or Chitta that will receive those information, and then they will build accordingly. The Chitta that act as a contractor for easy picturize them. There are 19 Chitta that will receive the information that Chitta in Chavana Chitta. Once they decided what Kama Shupa, Chitta Shupa, Utu Shupa, Ahara Shupa that in the Bhumi that you are going to born will look like, then they send those information to Chitta called Patisanti Chitta 19. And these 19 Chitta, they perform three main roles. Depends on the steps. First, they perform as Patisanti Chitta 19, and later on they perform as Pavanka Chitta 19, and the final they perform as Chuti Chitta 19. In short, for you be able to picturize them, Patisanti Chitta, once they perform as Patisanti Chitta 19, they are bringing you to born in 31 Bhumi. Depends on what Chitta perform, and then they keep you in that form in each Bhumi. For example, as we born as a human, once we come from other Bhumi to Manusa Bhumi, then at that point, one of Chitta 19 perform as Patisanti Chitta. And then once we born as a human, they keep us in human form or in Manusa form, even though we are not supposed to be. Our behavior is not supposed to be human anymore. But these Chitta, they will perform the second stage. They perform Pavanka Chitta, so they keep you in human form. And the last stage, they'll turn into Chuti Chitta. Chuti Chitta will brings you from your current Bhumi into next Bhumi until next Patisanti Chitta. Next Patisanti Chitta perform, and then at that point, Chuti Chitta will dissolve itself, and new Patisanti Chitta, they perform their duty. Okay. So back to the point, back to the main topic. We still, even though we go into these details, we are talking about why we feel hungry. So if you can remember, I show you the chart that show level 0 until level 100, right? And for science, they know only level 0. And by science, I try to identify, categorize type of hungriness, and then why hungriness why you feel hungry in 7 categories, right? 7 reasons, and those are observed by your 5 senses. But until now, what I explained to you is beyond your 5 senses. You cannot observe these kind of things by your 5 senses. You know them only if there is the enlightenment of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi, and otherwise you will not be able to arrive at this elaboration stage. Okay, next. So until now, Kammacitta 29 cause Patisanti Pawanka Chuti Citta 19 that create 31 Bhumi. The reason we need to go that far because before we before we answer the questions why we feel hungry, first we need to understand our body first. And to understand our body first, we need to know where does our body come from. And our body come from, we cannot go to science because we are explaining more into more details than our 5 senses that are used by science to identify cause and result in this world. And by using your 5 senses according to science, comparing to the chart 0 to 100, that is only level 0 in the enlightenment of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi. And what we start here, we start at level 100, which is the interaction of Citta and Cetasika that creates Rupa. Therefore, it's quite complicated. I go that far, but to try to explain back into why we feel hungry. But first, we need to know where does our body come from. Then we know their function. However, to know their function, we need to know what citta perform that cause this function to function as it is at level 0. Okay, stick with me. So until here, we explain citta, Chavana citta, or design unit. And then once you have Rupa Samutthana, which are Kama Shupa 18, Citta Shupa 15, Utu Shupa 13, and Ahara Shupa 12, and you ready to born in that Bhumi. There are 4 types of birth in each Bhumi that you need to know. In 31 Bhumi, there are 4 types of birth. First is Antasha Kamner, Sangsetasha Kamner, Chalapusha Kamner, Opapatika Kamner. These are 4 types of birth in 31 Bhumi. And this is chart 0 to 100. And then once we categorize them by the type of birth, levels 100 until level 50, as I mentioned before, that level 50, at this level, you will see Abhaya Bhumi 3, Naraka, Peta, Surakaya, only this in this level, and Teva Bhumi 6, and Brahma Bhumi 16, and Arupa Brahma Bhumi 4. They stay at this level. They need only Opapatika Connect, only one type of 4. Only one of the 4 types. And then you need to go further from level 50 until level 0, until at level 0, therefore at level 0 you can perform Shalapucha Kamna, Antasha Kamna, and Sanseta Shakamna. That's why you need to create more of your body to be more complex to reach level 0, and then at level 0 you can perform Shalapucha Kamna, Antasha Kamna, and Sanseta Shakamna. This show 4 types of birth, and now we are as human here because now we feel hungry, right? We are trying to explain why we feel hungry and why we feel hungry. Our hungriness stay as level 0. So by explaining the type of birth, we cannot stop at Opapatika because at that level, human cannot be born yet, because human need to reach from level 50 to level 0, and to level 0, then at this level 0 you can perform Shalapuchakamna, Antachakamna, and Sanseta Chakamna. Therefore, that's why we need to go further from level 50. And I emphasize that when I'm explaining all of this, we are trying to explain, trying to answer you one questions: why we feel hungry. Okay. Next, for this one, I try to conclude in one chart to simplify them for you. Why we feel hungry. At level 0, as I mentioned at the beginning of the class, that science explain everything at level 0 by identifying cause and result and assume that those are cause and results by their observation, by using their 5 senses. Use their eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. These 5 senses, there can be used only this. And then they can categorize hunger into 2 and 3 types, and why they feel hungry in 7 reasons. And here you can see not only us, but animals also, they also can feel hungry. Actually, we stay at level 0 and we are the same. We are human, they are animals, but these two can feel hungry as animal can feel hungry as same as us. So we are not very different from animal. So this level 2 explained by science, and what until the beginning of the class until now, what I'm trying to explain according to teaching of Nuttara Samma Sambuddhi, I starts from level 100, not level 0. Level 0 only what science knows with their 5 senses. But beyond that, the enlightenment of Nuttara Samma Sambuddhi, we start at level 100, which is the interaction of citta and cetasika that are causing kamma-shrupa, right? I try to explain here, and then a bit further into details that before kamma-shrupa happens, because one of the linkage I omitted, each rupa in kamma-shrupa, each rupa in rupa samudana, there are certain characteristics of citta that sent, that embedded in each rupa. To simplify them, I show you in this picture. Even though if it simplifies, still be quite difficult and quite complicated for the beginners. Try to stick with me. I try to simplify it to try to help the beginners to be able to picturize them. Okay. For citta that stays with rupa, citta that stays with rupa. You see the gray out behind this green chart. These are kamma-shrupa, citta-shrupa, utu-shrupa, and ahara-shrupa. I try to emphasize that the place only in kamma-shrupa 18, only in kamma-shrupa, there are 6 out of 18 rupa that have certain characteristic of citta. Citta, they citta, certain citta embedded their characteristic within 6 rupa that stays in kamma-shrupa. And those 6 rupa consisting of chakku passarupa, sota passarupa, kana passarupa, shiva passarupa, kaya passarupa, all together called passarupa 5, and another one, hataya rupa. And the place for citta states, chakku passarupa need to have chakku wattu, and in chakku wattu there are chakku vijnana citta 2. And chakku vijnana citta 2 order to create chakku wattu to stay within chakku passarupa, and sota vijnana citta 2 order to create sota wattu that stays with sota passarupa. Kana vijnana citta 2 order to create kana wattu that stays in kana kaya kana passarupa. And shiva vijnana citta 2 order to create shiva wattu that stays in shiva passarupa. And kaya vijnana citta 2 order to create kaya wattu that stays in kaya passarupa. These 5 wattu order to create by 2 pancha vijnana 10. And for Hataya Wattu stays with Hataya Rupa 1. And there are Chitta 107 that involved in Hataya Wattu. However, only 37 out of 107 Chitta order to create Hataya Wattu. And those 37 Chitta consisting of Thosa Chitta 2, Sampatichana Chitta 2, Santirana Chitta 3, Pancha Thawara Vachana Chitta 1, Hasitupatha Chitta 1, Mahavipaga Chitta 8, Rupa Vajra Rupa Vajra Chitta 15, and Sota Patimaka Chitta 5. Only these 37 order to create Hataya Wattu. However, once Hataya Wattu is created, the rest 70 Chitta will stay with them. So the difference is, once Hataya Wattu is ordered to create only by 37 Chitta, therefore, within Hataya Wattu, they embedded only characteristic of 37 Chitta. The rest 70 Chitta, they don't embed their characteristic in Hataya Wattu. So within Hataya Wattu, there are only characteristic of Chitta 37. And with this 37 Chitta, the content, the Chitta that we need to mention is the Chitta that we need to mention because they are quite special, which are Tosa Chitta 2. These are only Akusala Chitta that stays with Hataya Wattu or stays with Rupa. In case you can recite Chitta, there are Akusala Chitta 12, right? And only 2 out of 12 that order to create Rupa. In this case, Tosa Chitta 2 are 2 of 37 Chitta that order to create Hataya Wattu. However, for the rest of Wattu, Chakku Wattu, Sota Wattu, Kana Wattu, Shivha Wattu, Kaya Wattu, there are only 3 Panchaviyan 10 order to create them, not have any Akusala Chitta involved. Therefore, according to these 6 Wattu, you can see that there are only 2 out of 10 Akusala Chitta that embedded that characteristic into Rupa system. Because Akusala Chitta 10, they are here, there are Chitta 70. Akusala Chitta 10 consisting of Lopa Mula Chitta 8 and Moha Mula Chitta 2. And these 10 are not embedded that characteristic into Rupa system because only Tosa Chitta 2 that embedded their characteristics into Hataya Wattu. In this chart, you can see only there are 6 of Wattu, right? Place for Chitta to stay in Rupa system. Only 6 of them. And only 1 of 6, which is Hataya Wattu, that contains Tosa Chitta 2. If Tosa stays only with Hataya Wattu, then your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body should not be able to perform Tosa. But in reality, you know that you can use your eye, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body to communicate your Tosa or your hate, your loath, you're uncomfortable, you're feeling unhappy. You can show them by your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body. Therefore, it shows that in the end, Tosa don't stay only with Hataya Wattu. However, somehow they can start from Hataya Wattu, they interact with Chakku Wattu, Sota Wattu, Kana Wattu, Shivha Wattu, Kaya Wattu, and how that happened. And one of things that Tosa cause your body feel hungry, right? Your body feel hungry, and your hungriness also caused by Tosa. However, your hungry should be with Kaya Wattu, right? Kaya Wattu Kaya two, they are able to create only by Kaya Vijnana Citta two. But Tosa Citta two, they order to create Hataya Vatu. How how come that Kaya Vatu have something to do with Tosa Citta two? The explanation is here. According to the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi, Vatu six, their center called Vatu six. Vatu six consisting of Jaku Vatu, Sota Vatu, Kana Vatu, Shivha Vatu, Kaya Vatu, and Ataya Vatu. The way that Tosa interact with Jaku Vatu, Sota Vatu, Kana Vatu, Shivha Vatu, Kaya Vatu starts from here. Jaku Tosa Citta to send embedded their characteristic as Tosa within Hatayavatu because there are two out of 37 Citta that order to create Hatayavatu. Then Tosa characteristic that embedded in Hatayavatu sent to center, sent to Vatu 6, which is the center. And then from the center, Tosa, characteristic of Tosa, distribute into Jaku Vatu, Sota Vatu, Kana Vatu, Shivha Vatu, Kaya Vatu. Therefore, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body can perform characteristic of Tosa. And this is the first step why you can feel hungry. Your hungry is Tosa, but Tosa should stay with Hataya Vatu, and your hungriness is your body, right? But then from here, Tosa within Hataya Vatu goes to center Vatu 6, and from Vatu 6, they distribute themselves to Jaku Vatu, Sota Vatu, Kana Vatu, Shivha Vatu, and Kaya Vatu. Then the rest of your body, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body can perform Tosa. In case you feel uncomfortable, you feel angry, you can perform it by your ears, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body, right? You can perform them to show that you are unhappy. In the same time, it's also be able to perform your hungriness. Your eyes, when you're hungry, you look at the food, you look for the food, something like that. You look at the people and try to communicate them that you need somehow you need water, you need food, you are hungry. You can communicate by using your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body, because now your hungriness caused by Tosa, and Tosa, they're sent to they start from Hatayavatu, and now they stays with you Jakuvatu, Sotavatu, Kanavatu, Shuhavatu, Kanavatu. Then the whole body can communicate your hungriness. That's why this is the beginnings to explain everything by the teaching of the Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi like this, and then from these things sense to level 0. From here, it starts from level 100, right? Citta, Cetasika performing together. Here, they order to create Rupa. Rupa stays at level 99 here. And I show you that at Rupa at level 99, somehow the characteristic of Tosa that embedded in Hatayavatu, they can start from Hatayavatu, and then they goes to stage with your Jaku Sota Kana Shuhakaya, and from level 99, and then they send their characteristic into level 0, and then science can identify them by using their 5 senses, which are eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, to perform their hungriness. And then science concluded into 2 types: physical hunger, psychological hunger, and combination of the 2 in 3 types. And then science conclude that there are 7 reasons why you feel hungry by observation using 5 senses. But the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi go beyond that, much more beyond the knowledge of science. They know only level 0. But for the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi, we go back to the beginning of everything in 31 Bhumi. We go back to the beginning of, we go back to the interaction of Citta 121, Cetasika 52 that creates Rupa 28. And we show you this simplified steps of the interaction of citta and cetasika that cause rupa, and function of each group of citta. For example, like we start from citta that stays in Chona citta, act as a design unit, and then send the complete blueprint or rupa samudana that contains Kama Shupa 18, Chitta Shupa 15, Utu Shupa 13, Ahara Shupa 12 to contract this, or Patisanti Chitta, Pavangka Chitta, Chuti Chitta 19. And then these 19 Chitta creates your body, your mind, your environment, and your food at level 0. And we also show that the function that create your hungriness at level 0, they are caused by Tosa Chitta. And Tosa Chitta, once, as I mentioned, that Chitta and Cetasika, they stays at level 100. However, these Tosa Chitta, they embedded their characteristics into Vattu. Starts from Hataya Vattu, they embedded Tosa Chitta to embedded their characteristics into Tosa Chitta too. And from Tosa Chitta to embedded in Hataya Vattu. From Hataya Vattu, they sent Tosa characteristics from Hataya Vattu into their center. Center is Vattu 6 center, and then from Vattu 6 center, at this center they disseminate. The characteristic of Tosa disseminate into Jaku Vattu, Sota Vattu, Pana Vattu, Shilha Vattu, and Kaya Vattu. Therefore, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue can perform hungriness. Your eyes need food, your ears need food, your nose needs food, your body needs food, your tongue needs food, otherwise you're dead. And then each organ in your body, they communicate together, and then they create your hungriness as science can observe by physical hungry, psychological hungry, and combination of the two. And they summarize into 7 reasons why you feel hungry that observed by science. But by observation of science, it's not as complete cause and result as the enlightenment of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi, because Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi cannot only see at level 0, but Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi sees until level 100. And Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi explain everything. Each word that Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi explain can lead to Nirvana. Depends on the knowledge of the person who listens to the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi. Wants to Sikaya, the more you Sikaya, the more you understand about the past from that word that Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi or that Dhamma Vinaya that Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi mentioned into Nirvana. Because each word that Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi mentioned, that words will lead to Nirvana. For example, as here, as Jaku Vattu. At this moment, we explained you that Jaku Vattu is caused by Jaku Vinana Chitta to that order to create Jaku Vattu, right? But Jaku Vattu is the word that Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi said. Therefore, within only Jaku Vattu word, it in the end, Jaku Vattu means Nirvana, and Sota Vattu also the same, means Nirvana. Kana Vattu, Nirvana. Chitta Vattu, Nirvana. And Kaya Vattu also Nirvana, like this. So that's why we try to explain everything to you. That for today, it's just the first step that we are trying to go through the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi. For example, like this. Kama Shupa 18, Chitta Shupa 15, Utu Shupa 13, and Ahara Shupa 12. I try to explain for the beginners to picturize them as Kama Shupa 18 is yourself, Chitta Shupa 15 is your mind, Utu Shupa 13 is environment, and Ahara Shupa 12 is your food that you need to eat, right? But Kama Shupa 18, Chitta Shupa 15, Utu Shupa 13, and Ahara Shupa 12, these are the words that Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi mentioned. So once these words are the word that Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi said, Kama Shupa, the real meaning of Kama Shupa is Nirvana. Chitta Shupa also Nirvana, Utu Shupa also Nirvana, Ahara Shupa also Nirvana. But that is far reach for the beginners. That's why we simplify them to explain that Kama Shupa 18 picturized as your body. Chitta Shupa 15, picturize them as your mind. Utu Shupa 13, picturize them as your environment. Ahara Shupa 12, picturize them as your food that you need to eat. But those words I mentioned to you to be able to picturize for the beginners. We are not aiming there because eventually Kama Shupa needs to go until we reach Nirvana, Chitta Shupa, Nirvana, Utu Shupa, Nirvana, and Ahara Shupa, Nirvana. Okay. So, in conclusion here, why we feel hungry, explained by sign, quite easy, right? They observe by 5 senses. Hunger, divided into 3 types: physical hunger and psychological hunger, and combination of the 2. The reason of why we're hungry, 7 reasons. Okay. And those summarize, those signs conclude them by using their 5 senses. But to explain why we feel hungry according to the Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi, we cannot stay solely level 0. We need to go back to level 100, which is the level of Chitta interact with Cetasika that create Rupa at level 99, and Rupa 99 until Rupa at level 99 interact together until they reach level 0 and cause everything that science observed. And for the explanation of Buddhas, that's why we need to go back to the foundation that we emphasize in every classes, that we need to be able to recite Chitta 121, Cetasika 52, and Rupa 28. To understand the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi, we need to be able to recite Chitta 121, Cetasika 52, Rupa 28, and then we need to be able to differentiate communication language and Dhamma language. After that, you need to continuously listen to Dhammacharya or reading or reading or do anything within Bunyakriya Vatu 10 until you reach Nirvana. Only Sikkaya that leads to Sekha and Asekha, not study. Sikkaya, and then start from Sikkaya, not study. Sikkaya, then you can reach Sekha. Sekha means Sota Patimakha, Sota Patipala, Sakata Kami Makha, Sakata Kami Pala, Anakami Makha, Anakami Pala, Arahata Makha, and then Asekha, which is Arahata Pala. This is only path that you can attain Nirvana. Starts from Sikkaya, and Sikkaya is not the same with study. That the difference is, that's why we mentioned that first you need to be able to recite Chitta 121, Cetasika 52, and Rupa 28, and be able to differentiate communication language and Dhamma language. And Sikkaya and study. This is once you be able to differentiate communication language and Dhamma language, there at that moment, you know that Sikkaya is not the same with study. So in this class, in conclusion, in this class, we mentioned first why we feel hungry according to science. And then we also explain why we feel hungry according to Buddha's teaching. And we comparing the two for you in this class. It's a bit short, or I try to explain everything to simplify them for the beginners. Even though even I try to simplify them, I believe that it's a bit too complicated for the beginners. However, as for the beginners, you need to be able to recite Chitta 121, Cetasika 52, Rupa 28, and then start to differentiate the communication language and Dhamma language. That's the beginning. Okay. That will be end of the class. Are there any questions? Okay. If there is no questions, let us Namaskar Aye together. Namaskar Aye.
มีสติอริยมรรค
Namaskar Aye.
มีสติสามัญญพละ
นมัสการนายเย
เอกานิพพานากิปปปิญญา
โดยเฉียบ
เฉี
พลั
ย
น
บ
ใน
พลัน
ประ
ใน
วั
ประ
ติ
วั
การ
ติ
นี้
การ
เถิ
นี้
ด
เถิด
สาธุสาธุ
สา
สา
ธุ
ธุน
สาว
ติ
ธุ
อุปั
น
น
ว
ติ
ติ
พั
อุ
น
ปานิ
ธัง
ธิพัน
สา
ธะ
ธุ
อนุ
สา
โม
ธุ สา
ทา
ธุน
มิ
วติอุปั
โม
นิ
ทา
ธิพัน
นะ
ธะอนุโมทามิ